We look at the hostler position as well as consisting. We dive into weathering up a few of the locomotive side frames, as well as take the kids out for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And we cover all this on this episode of the GN in 1970.
70s.
All right, here we are in Union Engine Facility, which is actually normally Minneapolis Junction for the Great Northern that serviced Union Yard. But in this application, before the railroad was ever a point-to-point operating railroad, this was actually where a roundhouse was going to be. Well, we obliterated that, made it point-to-point. It works well, as you can see. Maybe you can't see in the shot, but there is some Q power here. We've obviously got some BN and Great Northern power. The way this area ends up being handled is we have an ore train that comes up with Q power, which is the CB&Q, Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy. They're going to drop off their locomotives. They're going to cut off that train, and we're going to put Great Northern power on it and send it on to Superior. And then the train that comes down from Superior will have Great Northern power on it. We'll cut it off and then put CB&Q power on it, and that's going to continue east. That's how we end up handling this particular engine facility. I guess long term, we'd like to have a guy that actually ran this position. We usually just end up jockeying for anybody that's available with a throttle to be able to come back and grab the locomotives. Alright, I just want to briefly touch on weathering locomotive trucks. They usually pop off of a locomotive fairly easy. These particular ones are off of a Proto 2000 GP20. I'm slightly weathering these things here with a Doc O'Brien's weathering chocks, as I touched on in Season 1, Episode 6. Very similar with the freight car trucks. This is a technique that I actually learned from Paul Becker, and it's...
We interrupt this program to show you some Chicago Northwestern, Union Pacific, and Mopac cars that were weathered by Paul Becker, using the same technique that was just previously mentioned, using Doc O'Brien's weathering chocks. This is all customized by Paul Becker himself. He was kind enough to send us a few examples.
A huge thanks to Paul from Perry's Hobbies for sending over those examples. You get more than just locomotives and freight cars, you get weathering techniques. Now that's customer service. At perryshobbies.com, it's totally worth checking out the hot deals that they have. And no, we don't get paid for that plug, we just believe in supporting our local hobby shops. Now with the locomotive side frame here, I've just shot it with a dull coat. You can shoot a dull coat or a flat black paint. Then I move on to the powders. I use white, rusty brown, grimy black, and grungy gray. We're going to start with the white, and that's just to bring out the highlights. You don't lightly use a soft brush and just bring it across the top of the truck to bring out highlights.
Oh, yeah.
Chalk it up, baby.
All right, once the white has been applied, we then move on to the rust color, and again, same technique.
Check out that chalk.
And as you can see here, it's just been lightly brushed across the top of the truck, and we're going to move on to the black and grungy gray. You just use this again, the same technique from the top down.
Oh, now that's grungy.
And here we've got our completed side frame. We end up obviously doing this 4 times, and the locomotive itself ends up turning out nice by just simply adding a little bit of chalk to get rid of those dark black side frames. Alright, we turn back the clock to 1950. Do you know when the GN got the first delivery of the GP7s by EMD? Was it A, 600? Was it B, 606? Was it C, 610? Or was it D, Locomotive 622? One thing we're really trying to do is streamline exactly the consisting of the locomotives. We used to do basic consisting, which basic consisting and advanced consisting are your 2 options essentially. And basic consisting really is just plugging in this case with Digitrax, you end up putting in a locomotive number, you hit MU, add, put another locomotive number, MU, add, and that ends up creating a consist. So like this set here is MU'd in basic consist. So we put in locomotive number 612, and that ends up being the lead unit, which is this one. And then 901 and 636, those 2 are actually MU'd to 612. And all that's been done through the command station. And thankfully, Dennis Barthel, who's a fellow modeler, had pointed out to us, he says, hey, why don't you just do advanced consisting? That'll take care of a lot of the headaches that you have. And one of the headaches that we had was if we had a problem with the system, maybe it was a max overload or we ran out of addresses, we needed to wipe out or purge the system of the addresses. And when we did that, it wiped all of our consists. Well, we got about 16 to 20 trains, and it's not ideal to be able to wipe out all those consists and then reprogram them. Though it was possible, we did do it. It wasn't ideal. So we went to advanced consisting. We've got these 3 units here, the 2NP and this SP&S unit. They're actually put into advanced consisting, which ends up using and I've got their cards. These are locomotive cards. We've got a card for every locomotive on the railroad that IDs what the locomotive is, what functions it has to be able to operate it, and then what its consist is. In this particular case, it's number 58, which I'll plug into the system here. I can hit F0. I've programmed these in such a way that the way it used to be, if I hit F0, all my front headlights might come on. I know you could turn them off and do some stuff individually, but what we're talking about here is just basic consisting. If you took 3 locomotives right out of the box and you MU'd them together this way,
it's a long time to spend on something that means absolutely nothing.
This is the way they come on. Headlight on, headlight on, headlight on.
But that's what I do. That's what people want me to do, is spend a lot of time wastefully.
You hit your direction, headlight on, headlight on, headlight on.
So that then I can then waste their time.
Now on the advanced consisting, what I've done is I've gone through and I've programmed each locomotive. What you've done here is you're actually putting the information into the locomotive, into the decoder, not into your command station, which is the basic consisting. Advanced consisting, fantastic, fantastic. What I've done here, if I turn the lights on, fantastic. My beacons come on, fantastic. I set it up so the beacons come on no matter what, fantastic. You hit F0, they come on. I hit my direction. In this case, now these number boards are lit. My beacons continue to flash. Every time I hit my direction, now I've had that direction, I had this direction. This headlight is the only one that comes on with its number boards, and now that headlight is the only one that comes on. You notice the center locomotives, none of those headlights go on, and that ends up being our desired result. So if we're switching and we're doing stuff, this is what we're going to be able to ID that our train is moving that way. I hit my direction here, now I know my train is moving this way. That helps operators, helps operations, so if you have headlights and you have this feature at least installed and programmed this way, it makes life a lot easier. Advanced consisting is the direction we're going. I continue to go through our locomotives. As you know, this string I just mentioned is in basic consist mode. It'll eventually get its own consist address, just like this one here. We've been very pleased with these. These ones just got ESU decoders installed. Fantastic. Thanks to Adam Panella. He did a fantastic job getting me the decoders that I needed. Very reliable, excellent to deal with, and I believe it's Summit Models is what he's under, and you can find him on Facebook. Thanks a lot to a lot of the guys that have pointed a lot of the information out via YouTube, via conversation, a lot of times even at shows. This information is just all about sharing, and that's what we're doing here. So if you've got questions about advanced consisting, hopefully this is something that'll at least steer you in that direction. We use JMRI as our programmer. You can use ESU programming. There's a number of different options, but JMRI is generally what we use to be able to change our operations and our functions accordingly. The locomotives themselves across the board continue to run nice. They are all speed matched, so they run nice in terms of a consist is concerned. We don't jockey around and switch up locomotives a whole lot. Can you? Yes. But we really find reliability is found just in consistency. So if these units are able to be more consistent and we find another set of units, maybe this RS11 gets paired up with these other two, or the BN gets swapped out with the center one, or whatever it might be, those things can be done, but they'd be done in a controlled fashion. We make sure we know the speed of the locomotive, the direction of the locomotive. All that stuff is all considered when we put these advanced consists together to be able to have a nice and smooth operation.
All right, you need to raise your hand to answer the question, which of the GP7s was delivered by EMD first? It was B606. It was actually the first one delivered because 606 to 622 were delivered just prior to the 600 to 605 series that were boiler equipped. Well, I, like the other 500,000 people, decided to bring the kids out to be able to check out the big boy. So I brought the oldest, the youngest, and the little guy to see 4014. This is going to be short and sweet, so hold on to your butts.
Fantastic.
We really enjoyed creating these episodes of the GN in 1970 as well as Sue the Milwaukee Road. The only way we know if you guys like these is hit that like button. You can hit it, click it, smash it, whatever it is that you're into. You can hit the subscribe button if you want to see on future episodes. Just make sure you ring that bell.
And if you want to see more of the Great Northern, you can take a tour of the GN in 1970, which covers the HO scale Wilmer subdivision. You can also check out other episodes that I've done of Soo the Milwaukee Road that covers the 1985 merger of the Soo Line and Milwaukee Road in HO scale. Thanks a lot for watching.